Hello, everybody. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. If any of you watching can just let me know if you can hear me all right. And I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Let's give it a few minutes in case there's some people that want to uh, give it a few seconds before they come in. But yeah, it's been a while. I don't think I've uploaded since the last live stream, but I've been super busy this last week, just working a ton, trying to stay safe from amongst the current global crisis. But you know, uh, but yeah, we're gonna be talking about Wave 5 today. I actually tried not to give myself a look too much at the battle cards for this set, even though I have looked at them all before, but I didn't give too many of them too much thought. For the thumbnail, I kind of just like took some cards. Like, for example, Brass Knuckles is in, I think, like the bottom right corner or whatever. But, yeah, we're gonna get started here in a few minutes. How's everybody doing? Is, everyone excited for Wave 5? It's coming out in a little over 2 weeks. Yeah, a little over 2 weeks, May 29th. I'm super excited. I think I'm gonna be getting about, I don't know, 3 or 4 boxes of it. Probably, maybe even, yeah, I'll probably get like 4 because of how many super rares there are. Trying to just get all of them, or as many as I can right off the bat. But because of how many super rares there are, I don't know what the odds are for us to be pulling them. I assume they'll be a little bit higher since there's so many of them. 7 is a lot, apparently, for Transformers. I know in other sets it may not be, but like, the most we've had is 4, I think. So having 7 is just a big jump, so. But, yeah, I think we might as well go ahead and get started. Once again, we're going to be using Computron's lab to have a look at these battle cards today. So if you want to check them out, I did put their link in the description below. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, starting off, looking at a rare battle card, Belligerence. It is an orange pip, and it's an action, of course, so until the end of the turn, each blue pip either player flips during a battle is instead an orange. It's interesting. It's certainly something to think about whenever building an orange deck, because anytime it's more or less a side card, at least in my sideboard card, in my opinion, because looking at it, you have to be playing against a blue deck obviously for it to be at its most effective, because if they're trying to if they're flipping blue pips on defense, you're changing them to orange, meaning it's not doing anything for them, and especially when you're playing a wide orange team, any blue that they're flipping is just going to be nothing. Basically, it's going to be like as if they were flipping a blank pip. So it's definitely something to consider whenever playing an orange deck. And if anything with like low defense numbers but high flipping amounts for like blue decks ever comes up, Belligerence might see a good amount of play in the sideboard. I can understand why it's a rare, because that effect is just really strong in and of itself. Plus, you could throw it in blue decks if you wanted to. Just turn every blue you flip into an orange just for a singular turn. That's kind of risky though. It is an orange pip, so you have to make sure it's actually worth it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. Next is Blade Fury, which is actually a blank pip card, so that's something to note. One of your characters gets +2 attack until the end of the turn, and if it has a weapon, instead it gets 4. So that's interesting. It's weird that they would. I don't think it's weird, but it's something to note that it's a blank pip, because obviously it's not incredibly hard to get a weapon on a character, and if it already has a weapon, then it's more than likely going to be doing more damage than it already is. And just getting to add +4, so that's, let's say you have a grenade launcher, right? And then you play this, and it's basically a +8 just because you played a grenade launcher for the turn. That's incredibly strong. So I definitely see why they would make it a blank pip card. But it is a common, so that's going to be interesting in any sort of turbo format. Next we have Brass Knuckles, which this card is interesting to me because it's a utility blue pip that gives bold 2. Now, I don't think... It's weird that it's a utility, first of all. But the reason they can do that and make it bold 2 instead of just bold 1 is because it's a blue pip. So I think this is going to be a really strong card, at least in my opinion, because bold 2 in blue decks can actually be extremely strong depending on what you're playing. So if you're playing a blue-black deck, say Soundwave, then bold 2 is extremely strong, plus you're getting the blue pip and you're not getting hurt by it. Bold 2 just helping you increase your Pierce. And only taking up the utility slot, which nowadays isn't too incredibly important, at least not for right now. It's not bad. I like Brass Knuckles. Next up is Camion Crash. Camion Crash, I think I'm saying that right. It's a black pip, and you get to do 1 damage to one of your characters and do 2 damage to an enemy. This card is very, very nice with Cup, the Wrecker's Cup, because anytime one of your Wreckers takes damage, they get attack equal to the amount of damage they took. Let me see if I can pull him up real quick. He is a body somewhere. Yeah, right here. So whenever one of your Wreckers takes 1 or more damage during your turn, it gets extra attack equal to that. So basically, it's a +1 attack to one of your characters, and dealing 2 damage to one of your enemies that's not bad. It's a plasma burst with a pip, as well as a +1 for it's for your action for the turn. So that's pretty nice. I'm excited to see what kind of shenanigans people do with this card, because I think it's definitely going to see some play in certain decks. So next is Concealing Contrails. Once again, apologies if I pronounce any of these wrong, but this is the first of the cards listed today that has I forget what they're calling them, but it's basically to where this black pip here, it doesn't count unless you're flipping it for a plane. So for example, if you're attacking with your Starscream Air Commander in his plane mode, you will get the 2 black pips instead of just 1. And it does have to be while they're in that mode. It doesn't matter if they have that mode just in general. Like say if you're attacking with Starscream in his bot mode, just because he has the plane mode on the other side doesn't mean he's going to get the black pip. But basically, it's a secret action that you reveal when one of your characters defends. The defender gets +1 attack until the end of the battle for each black pip you flip, which basically it's adding on each black pip you flip as a defense. Basically, it's adding them as blue pips to your defense. So you flip 2 black pips on defense with this card, and you get +2 defense plus whatever blue. So that's kind of nice. If you're trying to go for a plains deck that's Pierce, I don't know. I'm not really sure what kind of plains decks are Pierce right now, but it's definitely something to keep in mind that they would make it black out of all colors. So next is Conversion Expertise, which this card is one of the ones I looked at beforehand. While the upgraded character is in alt mode, it has tough 1, and while it's in bot mode, it has bold 1. I definitely see potential with this card for Metroplex, and I know there are probably better utilities for him to have than this one, but I really do like it, not only because it's a white pip, but because it protects him no matter what mode he's in. Also, forgive my stuttering. Tough 1 in the alt mode, that's the one where you don't even need to really care about the bold that he has. And then he has the bold 1 in his bot mode, so it's just very strong. Plus, it's a utility slot, so you don't have to worry about having something else there. I don't know what else you would have there, like data pads or pocket processor might be nice, but this thing's definitely worth it if you want to try and go for that. Counter Espionage. This is another card I've heard a lot of hype behind. It's a rare, and it says name an action. Then look at your opponent's hand and each face down enemy secret action, which already that's kind of a strong effect just in and of itself, especially on a green pip card. So, but your opponent scraps each card from among them with that name. That is incredibly powerful. Just that ability is just so strong to be able to control what's on your opponent's field. So, for example, if they have a face down hidden fortifications, if you play Counter Espionage and then decide to call out hidden fortifications or even a sabotage armaments, boom, they have to get rid of that. That's on their side of the field, and every single one that's in their hands. Basically, nothing with that name is safe. So, in addition to it being a green pip card, that just makes it so unbelievably strong. I don't know if it was the proper choice to make it green, but I think this card is absolutely incredible, and the green pip makes it even better. The black pip, I don't think that's going to stop people from playing in other types of decks, um, just because of how incredibly strong its incredibly strong its effect is. But I can see it being played in a lot of sideboards um, for when secret actions continue to stay big. So next we have the Crystal of Power, which this is an upgrade that takes up both your weapon and your armor slots. So I think it's the first and only of its kind. I don't think there's another one in this set that's like that, so that's interesting to note. But it gives you +3 attack and +2 defense in one card. So basically, instead of taking 2 turns to upgrade your character twice, you can just give this to one of your characters, and boom, they have what would you would basically get if you had played, say, a laser cut, not a laser cutlass, the EM24 laser blaster thing, and the blast shield. The only problem is it gets scrapped after they battle. Whether that be on attack or defense, it doesn't matter. It gets scrapped. But the good thing about this card is that it is a black pip. So that means Sound Blaster gets to abuse it because he gets to pull black pip weapons from the scrap pile. So of course he's going to be able to move this just because it has weapon in its upgrade title. So you're going to be able to just abuse this card as much as you can, and it's going to be super incredible. And plus, I think that ability is whenever he attacks. Yeah. So get the attack off, and right? I haven't looked at Sound Blaster in a while. It's something really strong. Just know that Crystal Power Sound Blaster is going to be an awesome deck, and I'm excited to play it in the future. So next we have Decoy Flares. Now, I don't know if I've seen this one before. It's a black pip card, and when the upgraded character defends, you can scrap this, and if you do, it gives +2. Basically, it's a +3 should you decide to scrap it. That's not that's not too bad. Basically, you're getting +1 defense until you decide, hey, I want another armor, which that's not even that bad actually. +3 yeah, that's actually not a bad card. It's common, so probably have a ton of them in your supply. But I kind of like this card. I'll have to see what all you can do with it. Disassemble is the next one. Scrap any weapon or armor. I believe that can be yours or your opponent's. And its owner draws a card, which, oh my gosh, I just realized. Wingspan. Wingspan loves this card. Wingspan is going to go nuts over this card. When an upgrade is scrapped from this, you get to put it under him. And then for each upgrade under him, he gets +1 defense. So being able to just get rid of upgrades from him on your own time, basically, especially when it's a green pip card, that's very nice there. And then you're getting to draw a card off of it too, so that's pretty nice there as well. Next is the Electro-Optical Visor, which this one's in the thumbnail. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but it is. This one is a blue pip, and when you put it on Decepticons, your opponent reveals their hand and chooses an Autobot card from it and then scraps that card. This card would have been interesting should Press the Advantage still be in the format, but right now you're kind of just, if you decide to play this card, you're kind of just banking on the odds that your opponent is actually like playing any sort of Autobots at all, because you know they definitely could just play Decepticon cards and no Autobot cards at all. But it's definitely something to note that you can just drop an Autobot card from your opponent's hand. It gives +1 defense too as your armor, so that's interesting. So I don't really see this one seeing much play. It's an uncommon though, so I don't know. Next is Emergency Barricade. When the upgraded character defends, you get to scrap this card after the battle. It gives you +3 defense, which already that's incredible. The only thing is it's an orange pip, so that kind of throws it off a little bit from being used in a blue deck. However, I don't think that's going to stop it from being used in, say, like orange tanks or something similar to that, because orange tanks is definitely a thing, and it's going to continue to be a thing as long as I'm playing this game, at least. But Emergency Barricade, it's okay. I mean, because it scraps, obviously, that's not that great. But the +3 defense, say on like your Demolisher, making him have base 7 defense, that's just incredible. So, I definitely think it's going to be something interesting to see amongst the people. So, hello, Danny Williams. How's it going, dude? Next up, we have Emergency Repair Patch, which this is an Autobot card. You could definitely get rid of it with the Electro-Optical Visor. I already forgot its name. But when you put on an Autobot, you get to repair damage from it, which that's not incredibly unique. We've had a lot of cards like that. Like as soon as you play them, they heal a damage or something like that. But this one's specific to Autobots. That's interesting. It's blue pip, heal 1, +1 defense. It's okay. In certain heal decks, I can definitely see it being used as like a one-time armor or something similar. But I kind of like it. It's unique. Um, but yeah, next is End Hostilities, which this one is also a rare. It's a secret action that says when one of your characters defends, each orange pip either player flips this battle instead becomes a blue pip. So it's kind of the opposite of what Belligerence does. Um, Instead of, it's cool because it actually has the same character. Is that Menasor? I want to say it's Menasor, but it's someone. It's someone. Um, in that instead of changing every blue to an orange, it changes oranges to blue. So it's definitely nice for uh, blue decks to be using because it turns any orange things coming at them into blue, so they're not getting the additional uh, add-ons to their attack. So that's definitely something. Next is Energon Mace, which is a Decepticon weapon, blue pip. There's been a lot of blue pips in this set. I don't know if it'll change as we go down, but when the upgraded character is attacking an Autobot, it gets +1 attack, which it already gives +2. Basically, it's going to do something interesting that a primary laser cannot, so let's see what that is. While the upgraded character is attacking an Autobot leader, how incredibly specific, the upgraded character has Pierce 3, which if they're attacking Autobot will make it basically a Pierce 3 against an Autobot leader. +3 Pierce 3, I can't even talk. But I don't think that's really the greatest thing in the world. As like we do have a ton of Autobot leaders. Again, it's just such a specific combination of things that I don't know how worth it is for a person to be playing this card outside of the sideboard. And because the sideboard's so limited, I don't think this card is going to see too much play. Because there are just so many better things I feel like you could be doing in the sideboard. But yeah, next we have the utility Enhanced Power Cell that gives +3 health to a character, which I think this is a little different than from other cards we've seen. Like there's obviously Energy Pack that gives you +4 to 11 star more. And I think there's another one that has 2 black pips and it gives +2. But this is just 1 black pip and it gives +3 to anyone. So that's interesting. I don't know. I know that the +2 health one didn't see much play. The +4 health armor didn't see much play. Energy Pack sees a good amount of play, but I don't know if this will. It's a little underwhelming. I don't want to say it's underwhelming, but it's not something I would see myself playing. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Um, Moving on, we now have Escape Capsule, which this is a orange black pip card. That's a utility, and when it says when you deploy the upgraded character's head, so obviously it'll only work on Titan Masters and their body components. Put this in any upgrades that were on the upgraded character onto the deployed character. Meaning, let's say if you have a flamethrower on your Sergeant Cup, whenever he dies, whatever head you have on him, the flamethrower will move over to. Plus, it gives +1 attack. I don't know how much that matters. But the orange black pip card, I think, is what makes it worth playing in certain decks, especially the Wreckers deck. Because almost all the Wreckers, I think, are Headmasters. So this would be a good card to be running in there. So, yeah, that's that. Plus, it's a rare. So, the reason I point out stuff is rare is because, obviously, if it's a rare, then WotC sees reason that people should be playing it. So, of course, if WotC is seeing reason for people to play it, then they're going to make it harder for people to get. But yeah, next is Fusion Borer, which is a +3 Piercer. I'm going to say it right this time. And it gets scrapped after the battle. Basically, it gives you guaranteed Pierce 3, and also +3 attack. It's okay. I like it. I definitely like this card. It's going to be good in a lot of Pierce decks. But the thing is, because it scraps, the only deck I can see it being completely broken into something like Sound Blaster, which of course we already discussed. You might want to be using um, the Crystal of Power over this. But potentially you could be doing a ton of Pierce with this card because it doesn't limit you to what your base attack is. It just adds on to it. Like, so let's say you already have, say, Pierce 6 on your Sound Blaster. This is going to give you an additional Pierce 3 without making that Pierce 3 go to waste. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Um, and this one is an uncommon, so it's something to note there. Next we have the Ghost Shield, which this one is one of the two cards in the set that I really, really like. Well, I will get to the other one later, but this one is really, really cool because you can only play it to replace an armor that's already on a character. So basically, if you have, say, an armor plating on your cup, you can play Ghost Shield, trading out the armor plating onto this character because it has to replace something that has an empty armor slot. Um, but it has a really unique ability as well beneath it, saying that if a opponent's card would cause this to be scrapped, you can instead scrap an armor from your hand, basically keeping it on your character as long as you have an armor in your hand. Which that's not too ridiculously hard to do, considering that there are a good amount of armors with green pips that you can just keep in your hand so that your opponent just has to keep continually dropping resources to hopefully get rid of Ghost Shield, which is already going to be difficult to do anyway. So it's a very nice card, and only downside of it is that it's an orange pip, so you have to find some way to use that properly in your blue decks, or you could do what I said earlier and try and put it into your orange tanks deck and just have some crazy shenanigans go off there. The next one is Grav Inhibitor, which is a black pip card that gives you Pierce 3 as a weapon. It's basically just Piercing Blaster as a black pip. It's not too much to say. I think it'll definitely see more play than whatever Piercing Blaster saw, just because it's a black pip. But otherwise, it's okay. It's whatever Piercing Blaster is. It's basically on the same level as what I'm trying to say. Next is Hand-to-Hand Combat, which is another one of the new cards that says... Sorry, it says that the blue pip in the top corner right here, it has to be flipped on a melee character's attack or defense for it to do anything. So that's something to note there. And then you get to choose one of your characters, and when it attacks this turn and doesn't have a weapon, it gets +3 attack until the end of the battle, and you scrap all the defender's weapons. So that's really strong. This is a really good card to have at the beginning of the game in your hand, considering you probably won't have too many upgrades right off the bat. But being able to give +3 is already strong. And then scrapping all the defender's weapons, that's already a really good added bonus. Next we have Handheld Blaster, which is actually just a reprint. It's got a cool new artwork with the double blue pip, of course, and the bold one. Next, we can just move on past that one because it's just a common. Next we have Headbutt, which what is that pip? It says for a non-Titan Master. Oh, no. It only works for Titan Masters, so like the heads, I think. Yeah, this card only has pip effects for heads, which I think that's kind of dumb, all things considering, because they're only going to be on the field for give or take a turn or two, unless your opponent decides to not prioritize them, which in that case that might be kind of dumb. I don't know, but basically it gives them 2 black pips should they flip it, and then you get to tap one of your characters in body mode, and then tap an enemy that has 10 stars or fewer and is in bot mode or body mode. Incredibly specific. Pip's incredibly specific for characters that aren't going to be on the field for very long. I don't understand why this is a rare. I'm sorry, Watsy. Maybe I'm crazy. Next we have High Five, which I love this artwork. It's so simple and it's so great. It's just funny. It's just funny to me. But you get to choose one of your characters, and if they share a trait, you repair 1 damage from each of them. I was honestly thinking Runabout and Run Amok would love this card. but unfortunately they don't share traits outside of being cars. So if they're both in the bot modes, then it won't matter. Otherwise, High Five would be a really nice card with him because I know there's a lot of different sorts of healing stuff you can do with him, with like toolbox shenanigans and stuff like that. So that might be something to look at there. It's just unfortunate that they're both not like ranged or both specialists, which I think they should have been both specialists, but they're not. However, I do like this card. It's an uncommon, so it's going to be above average in usability, at least according to my terms of looking at things. But yeah, High Five's fun, and I love the artwork. Next, we have Hit and Run, which is a white-black pip card, which that's always a fun little pip combination to look at. This is flip one of your characters from bot mode to alt mode, so that's already a flip there. And then you get to move one damage counter from it to an enemy in alt mode. So it's interesting because it's basically an escape route without the green pip, and then it has an additional effect to move in I can't even speak. Move one damage from it. So you have to kind of look at this card and think, is it worth it for me to be able to not pull this to my hand just to move a damage? Because the white black pip is just it's honestly a really good combination of pips. Only thing is though, again, you can't pull it to your hand, so you have to just try and draw it on your own. So that's something you always have to keep in mind with this sort of stuff. Next is Hold the Line, which is a secret action with that wondrous green pip I was talking about earlier. And it says when one of your characters defends, repair one damage from the character, and it can't take more attack damage than damage this battle than the number of stars the attackers has, which that is a very good card. I really, 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 really like this card because it hurts. It hurts the airstrike patrol, and anything that hurts the airstrike patrol is good in my book. Basically, you repair one damage from whoever you're defending with, and then it can't take damage that is more than what their stars are. So let's say if you're attacking with one of the airstrike patrol members, that's a 4-star. You can't take more than 4 damage, plus you're healing one that's already on him. And it's a green pip, so you can pull it to your hands freely. So that's just really nice there, and it's white pips, so you'd have to decide what other white pips you want to run. But it is a common, so I don't. This is one thing I don't really understand is why they can just make such good cards as commons. Like, this is a good card in my opinion. It's good for the sideboard, and it's good for the main deck should you really think you're going to take that much damage, but I like this one. This is a good one. Next is Hollow Matter Projector, which is a green pip card. The upgraded character can't take non-attack damage from your opponent's cards. I think that does exclude character cards, so they can take damage from, say, like Shockwave, but they couldn't take damage from, say, like a Plasma Burst. Plus, it's a green pip, so you can pull it to your hand. It is an armor, and it gives +1 defense. It's interesting. I definitely see it having spots in the sideboard for when certain things that do direct damage get popular. Should Shockwave ever get popular again, this will definitely see some play. But other than that, this card's kind of a meh. It's kind of a meh. Next we have Hold Down, which is another secret action I really, really like. It is a orange pip card that only affects tanks. You know the orange tanks I was talking about earlier? Yeah, this is for them. And it says when one of your characters defends, that gets tough 4. So, and I definitely think that's so worth running in a blue tank deck should you decide to. Because tough 4 is just an incredibly strong, Like, we don't have a lot of tough 4 cards, and to see one that's specifically designed to be used by tanks, it kind of gets me excited. So, that's something there. Next we have Improvised Shield, which again is another reprint. But the art of Megatron holding a car to deflect a blast is just so funny. I remember hearing from Arbitrary Hero that this was going to be a thing, and he did the crude drawing of it. It was really funny. If you guys haven't seen that video, you should check it out. But it's obviously a double orange. Good card to have in aggro decks. But yeah, next we have the Industrial Grade Phase Charge, which is a black pip weapon that says when the upgraded character attacks, you can scrap this, and if you do, the upgraded character gets +3, meaning that they'll have +5 So remember the card we had earlier, the decoy flares, that would give you +3? Yeah, this one gives you +5. So, uh, it's very strong. I very much like this card. The only thing is though, it is a black pip like I mentioned before, but I don't think that's going to stop people from playing it for sure. Um, just Pierce 1 is always good, even if it doesn't do anything on defense. This is just a really strong card, being able to do +5. And if Grenade Launcher sees play, then this card's going to see play. So, really excited about this one. And it is a common, so I don't. It's going to be crazy in the pre-release stuff. Not pre-release, but the release events. Um, Next, we have the Intrusion Countermeasure software, which that's a mouthful if I've ever seen one. And it's a secret action that says if your opponent's card will cause you to scrap one or more cards from your hand during their turn, instead you get to draw 2 cards. Now this card is Sunstorm's child. And should you decide to not play Crankcase's, I don't even remember what they're called anymore. His, oh lord, what are they called? Oh my goodness. Stratagems. I had to go and look. If you decide not to play Crankcase's Stratagem, this is a really good secret action for you to have instead, because you can't pull it to your hand since it is a green pip, and the black pip's also nice to do some damage in the early game with the Sunstorm deck. It's a rare, so maybe they were hoping people would play it outside of Sunstorm decks, because obviously Sunstorm's not a top tier deck right now, meaning that it wouldn't warrant it being higher than, say, an uncommon. But I still think that it's going to be an interesting card because there's a lot of hand hate going around. So we'll see how this goes because something like the countermeasures or counter something counter espionage, yeah, something like that. It basically protects your hand. So this is always a neat little card you can have when you want to. Next, we have Junk Cannon. That says when you put this or another upgrade on the upgraded character, it gets +2 attack until the end of the turn. I really wish this gave +1 right off the bat. That's my only issue with this card. Because otherwise it's really, really cool looking. Not only just in the artwork, but because anytime, let's say, you put down extra padding, you get +6 attack on the character with Junk Cannon. Which that's definitely 100% nothing to scoff at. But again, it's nothing outside of that turn. So it's kind of just sitting there doing nothing if you don't upgrade that character. So I just wish it was a +1. I just wish it was a +1, and then I would like it. But next we're moving on to Laser Scalpel, which is a double black pip card that gives you Pierce 1 in the utility slot. So, and also this artwork kind of looks like it's from the original cartoon. Maybe I'm crazy because like that looks like the original Ravage. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But this is an interesting card. I don't know if Pierce 1 for 2 black pips is actually worth it. But it's definitely nothing to scoff at because Constructicons will love this card to heck. They will never let go of it. Next, we have Last Stand, which one of your characters gets +5 until the end of turn, and then you get to KO it. This card is just absolutely incredible. This is a card I wish was a rare, just because of how annoying it's going to be. So and it doesn't like exclude Battle Masters either. So you could give your Lionizer +5, and then he's got his Bold 4, and his attack just keeps building up, and then you get to kill him, and then another character on their side gets to use the Lionizer's Bold 4, and then it just gets way out of hand. This card's going to be crazy. And again, this black pip is not going to stop people from playing in an orange decks. Like, it's just not. +5 attack is insane. Literally anywhere you play it, so that's ridiculous. Next we have Lock on Target, which this is a blue pip for planes, similar to the tank one that we looked at earlier. This one gives Bold 4 instead of Tough 4 as an action instead of a secret action, so of course those are trading. But Bold 4 is nothing to scoff at, and just because it's a blue pip is not going to stop people from playing in their aggro planes decks. I know Joe from Wreck and Roll is going to absolutely have a field day with this card, because Bold 4 is amazing. It always has been. Lionizer loves it. Most of us love it. And it works for planes, so planes are going to have more fun with it, even if they are freaking Airstrike Patrol. I'm sure they're still going to play this anyway. Ugh. Next, we have Lose the Initiative, which is a rare, so that's something to know. It also has a good pip lineup, so I think something like Grapple. Should anybody be playing Grapple anymore? But he'll love that card. Fortress Maximus likes this card, and it has the effect that says whenever your opponent's card would cause you to cause one of their characters untap, so say Turbo Boosters or Start Their Engines. Instead, untap one of your characters that has the same number of stars as the character they were trying to untap or fewer. So very, very nice there. It basically looks at your opponent in the eye if they're playing Cars deck and says no. No, that's for me. You should have just given that to me. Thank you. And then you just kind of walk away with it. You enjoy the untap that your opponent should have had. Um, so I really like this card. This card's fun, and I am excited to see a bunch of Cars decks cry their way to sleep after seeing this. Next, we have Lucky Dodge, which this one is a no-pip secret action, so that's interesting to note. And it says if one of your characters defends, it would take an odd amount of attack damage. Instead, it takes no damage, which, if you can time that right, this card is actually really incredible. Um, Being able to just completely avoid an attack should you be taking odd amount of damage, and that's not something that you can easily control. Um, that's a that's a that's something that's kind of hard to control. But if you can do it, because I think technically this would trigger as soon as you would be taking that odd amount of damage. So if you have like plan on defense or something like that, and you've already seen your opponent's flips, right? Is that how the order of operations would work? I don't remember exactly, but it seems like it might be able to see some amount of play. I'm not sure really, just because it's a blank pit, but Skywarp might like it. I don't know. Next we have Magnetic Dysfunction Ray, which this is another orange-black pip card that does 1 damage to each character, and then 1 damage to each Autobot, which if you're playing an all-Decepticon team, Constructicons, um, it does 1 damage to all your Constructicons, obviously, and then it'll do 1 damage to all their opponent's Autobots. It's not bad. Probably Constructicons was probably really a bad example, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? It's good for anything Decepticon based, really. Because taking 1 damage to each of your characters, especially in the early game, isn't that bad, and being able to do 2 damage to all of your opponent's Autobots is definitely nothing to scoff at. Plus, the pip coloring is good, and it's uncommon, so it's not going to be too ridiculous to get. Now, the next one, should you actually use this card right, is actually really cool. The Master of Metallicado, which I don't know if I said that right, but it's you get an orange pit for specialist, you get a black pit for ranged, you get a blue for melee. So that kind of pairs up with how this other card, hand-to-hand combat, gives you a blue pit for ranged. That kind of pairs up there. So if you want to run both those cards and you have a full melee team, that's something you can do there. But it basically lets you choose one of your characters, and whenever it attacks this turn and you flip for battle, it gets +1 until the end of the battle for each different color among the battle icons you flipped. And considering that we do have, 5 different color pips right now? Orange, black, blue, green, white? Right? Yeah, 5? 5? I'm not crazy, am I? Hold on. I'm not crazy, I swear. I swear I'm not crazy. Yeah, there's 5. It didn't show green here. So yeah, there's 5. If you flip all 5, which I don't know what kind of deck you're going to be flipping all 5 in, but you get +5 attack, so that's definitely nothing to scoff at. Plus it's your action for the turn, and you can do all kinds of different shenanigans with it, with the different tribal, I don't know what they're called, tribal symbols, I guess, the specialist ranged melee thing. If you do it right, this card could be really good, because the average deck runs about 3 different pip colors, being white, either blue or orange, and then like green. And blue decks are running about 4, being black, blue, white, and green. So if you can do that right, this card's actually really, really nice. Plus it's a rare, which I don't think it should have been a rare. It should have been an uncommon. But you know. Next we have Master Sword, which is the other card that I'm really, really excited about for this set. This one, play only to replace a weapon, sort of just like you have to only play it to replace a armor. Um, you play your enforcement batons, then you play Master Sword over it, and boom, you just get +4 attack infinitely until you run out of weapons in your hand. So that's really, really, really strong there. The grenade launcher +4 attack that doesn't drop after you swing is just so strong. And again, the blue pip's not going to stop people from playing it in the orange deck. So Master Sword, really fun card, and I'm excited to play it in the future. Next, we have Mission Briefing, which is an white green pip card. And you get to draw a card for each character on the battlefield in bot or body mode, which it takes a little while to set that up. But once you do, you're probably drawing about 3 cards, 2 through 3 cards, once you fully set that up, which for being a green pip card is not bad. You just have to make sure it being a white pip is worth it, and you're not running too many of those. But otherwise, this card's not bad, especially in like a released format, turbo format, that kind of thing. Next, we have Nitro Boosters, which this one is another card that's specific to a different tribe. It's specific to cars in this one, and it's a utility that says when the upgraded character attacks and has 3 attack or less, you get to untap it and then scrap this card. So basically, if you're attacking with someone that's a car, no, it doesn't even have to be a car. It's just made for card decks because it has the car specific pip right here. But when the upgraded character attacks and has 3 or less attacks, so basically Demolisher. Demolisher would love this card. Or is it 3 less attack after you flip? Ooh, it might be after you flip. Never mind. I don't understand how this works. Someone wants to explain it to me? Go for it, because I don't get this. Hey, Cameron, how's it going, dude? It is, it's going swell. We're, I think, a little over halfway through the battle cards, trying to just push on through. Yeah, we're looking at Nitro Boosters. I'm not really sure how this card works, but, I'm kind of hoping it's 3 or less attack before you flip. Because otherwise this card doesn't seem that great, at least not in my eyes. Next we have Overrule, which is a secret action that says when your opponent plays a white pip action, you get to scrap it, and it does nothing. Oh, it is before pips? Okay. That's interesting. Okay. I just figured since it's already tapped at that point, you've already flipped. Yeah, okay, that's good to know. That's definitely something to note. But Overrule is basically like the Infiltrate or the Jam Signals of this set. Instead of scrapping a blue or a orange pip card, it scraps a white pip. So that's kind of nice. And it is a different colored pip, being black instead of orange or blue. So that's a neat one. Can't wait till we get the one that blocks black actions or green actions. Or nah, the green one might be a little too strong. I don't know, maybe. It's static attack before flip. Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Thank you, Cameron. Next, we have the Paralyzo box, which, again, I'm not really sure how to say it. Paralyzo something. But it is a white pip with a green pip as well, but it's only for ranged. And this card looks really, really fun. Because what it does is a weapon, of course. And then when the upgraded character attacks, you get to choose a battle icon color. And then your opponent reveals the top card of their deck. And if it's the battle icon of the chosen color, the upgraded character gets 4 attack until the end of the turn. That's so cool. If you could just know what your opponent's running, you can take a stab in the dark and get +4 every turn. And plus, you get to pull it from your deck if you're playing a ranged deck. See, it's just incredibly strong there. +4 attack is, again, nothing to scoff at. Although I'm wondering if they should have done, it had a guaranteed +1, and then it gives +3, if you guess it right. Maybe that'd be too strong. I don't know. Paralyzo box, I love it, and I'm excited to play it. Because there's a lot of ways that you can try and get your opponent to do stuff. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there's ways. I know there is. I know it. Moving on. Next is Plasma Horns, which says it's a white pip card, and it's a weapon. When the upgraded character attacks and you flip battle cards, and you flip 4 white pips, you get to scrap that. And if you didn't, the upgraded character gets +1 until the end of turn for each white pip you flip. So let's say you flip 3 whites, you get +3 attack, making it a +4. So this card's kind of iffy. I think it might be good in some decks that run a lot of white, say like Metroplex maybe. Nah, Metroplex needs the bold more than he does raw attack. Never mind, I don't know where this goes. Someone wants to tell me and explain why it's a rare. Go for it, dude. Because I have no idea. Plus, I just feel like there's better options than this. Like, Paralyzo Box is way better than this, in my opinion. Alright, next, Precision Fire, which is an orange-black pip card. Always a good combination, as I've said. And you get to choose a mode and do 1 damage to all characters in that mode, including your own. So if you can time that right, that's a really, really nice card to play. Being able to ping 1 damage to all your opponent's characters. Not even all of them, it's just all the ones in one mode. If you can, but it could be all of them if you time it right, or if you get to play it on the first turn or something and they didn't flip. I really like this card. I know Constructicons are going to love this card. They're just going to love every orange-black pip card. So, anyway, next we have Reflect Damage, which this card is a secret action that's a green pip, so of course it's going to do something interesting if it's a green pip. And if one of your characters would take non-attack damage from one of your opponent's cards, instead they deal that much non-attack damage to an enemy, which technically I think that could just go back and forth if they played a secret action or something weird like that. If they put down their own reflect damage, they could just reflect it back at you. I don't know. That's interesting, but it's a green pip, so you get to do interesting stuff there with it. And then of course we have we have Regenerative Core, which is another green pip card. It's an armor, and when the upgraded character attacks, you move 1 damage counter from it to the Regenerative Core, and then if it has 2 or more on it, then you would scrap it. So basically, once you've attacked twice with that character, it basically have healed 2 from it. So that's not that bad of a card. +1 defense below par. It's all right. I mean, it's good for an armor. Just the ability alone, it makes it really strong. But the +1 defense is nice, and the fact that it's a green pip is also really cool. And it is a rare, so you'll try and get this one if you want to do a lot of healing. It's not even technically healing, I think. It's just moving damage around. So can't do stuff with that. I wish it was healing, but it's not. Next we have Scout Armor, which can only be put on trucks, tanks, wreckers, or Constructicons. And when the upgraded character is KO'd, you get to draw 2 cards. Constructicons will love this, not only because it's a Pierce card, but because they're going to be dying left and right. So the +1 defense, I don't even think it would have mattered anyway. But being able to draw 2 cards off someone's death is really nice. I don't know why this one's a rare, because it's just so specific. I mean, it's just nice knowing that you'll get some sort of consolation after someone's gone. But yeah, it's weird. It's a weird card, but I think it's cool. Scouting Mission does 1 damage to any character, and then its owner draws 2 cards, regardless of whether or not I think they kill him. So, for example, let's say your opponent has a Dinobot Snarl from Wave 1, and it has 8 damage on it. You do 1 damage to it, and it dies. Your opponent still gets to draw 2 cards, regardless of whether it died or not. So that's something to note. Certain characters that like taking damage, like Cup or I think Quake, they'll like this card a lot because then they'll get to activate their effects as well as being able to draw cards for it. Next we have Sharpened Talons, which this card is kind of weird to me because it almost sort of, I don't want to say it signifies this, but it feels like it's pointing towards a power creep almost, in that they're making it easier to do a primary laser. They're making it basically the way there's no reason to play primary laser ever, because this card exists now. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't like this card because of what it implies, at least to me. I don't know if that'll actually imply something, but I'm not a big fan of power creeps. That's why I quit playing Pokemon, but Sharpened Talons is something for us to definitely keep an eye on. Next is Sonic Stun Gun, which it's another weapon, and when you play a green pip card, the upgraded character gets +1 to the end of turn. Now this isn't limited to just once a turn, so that means you could brainstorm into 2 green pip cards and you get +2, and then you're basically getting +3. Only problem is, I don't like this card, so it shouldn't be rare. I don't like this card. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. Okay, moving on. Speed Trap. This card is very nice against combo decks. Something like Springer, it'll just be like, haha, ha, and you just get to laugh at your opponent. But basically, when your opponent plays an action and it's the second one they play for the turn, basically they'll play their Brainstorm, and whatever they're trying to play off the Brainstorm, it doesn't do anything, and then they don't get to finish the Brainstorm because it doesn't let them play any more actions for the rest of the turn. So it's nice. It's very nice in the sideboard, especially if combo decks continue to be a thing. So I'm excited to see wherever Speed Trap goes. Next we have Spiked Bracelet, which this one's sort of similar to Brass Knuckles, which we saw above, in that it's tough 2 in the utility slot, but it's obviously the opposite pip color. Instead of being blue, like Tough usually is, it's orange, so you have to make sure you're playing it for good reason and have ways to use it right. Next we have Spy Satellite Uplink, which is a black-green. And enemies can't use Brave or Stealth against the upgraded character, and it gets +1 attack. Now, I love this card. And for one reason, and one reason alone. It destroys Airstrike Patrol. Because as soon as you're able to ignore their stealth, you can just attack the leader and get them out of the way. Just boom, they're gone. And plus, it's a green pip, so you can pull it to your hand as early as your first turn and just place it down and then one-shot their leader, and then the Airstrike Patrol doesn't get the bonus for flipping green pips anymore, and it basically limits how much damage they're able to get out. So it's very nice, and I love this card, and I really hope Airstrike Patrol doesn't continue to be a thing just because this exists. Now the next card we're going to look at is just incredibly strong. It's so unbelievably powerful that I love it so much. So it's called Spymaster's Ruse, and it has 2 black pips, but only 1 if you don't have a specialist, and it's a green pip, which I don't think that's going to stop people from playing it outside of specialist decks. Basically, you get to play a secret action. So you're playing this action, and then the secret action. And while that card is face down, this card and the secret action you just played aren't scrapped at the end of the turns. So basically, as long as your secret action hasn't been triggered, it stays out on the field for as long as you need it to. Unless your opponent uses counter espionage in that case, then it might get scrapped should they guess it right. But this card is absolutely incredible because you're just able to keep secret actions out in the field until they get triggered, and you don't feel like you wasted that sabotage armaments that your opponent knew you'd play down. And basically, you put them on a, I don't want to say like a timer, but they're going to have to trigger it eventually, basically, if you play your cards right. So I'm really excited for this card. It definitely deserves to be a rare. But yeah. Next we have Staggering Might. Now this one is a card for Metroplex, because as the upgraded character is 16 stars or more, it gets Bold 1 in Tough 1, and it's a white pip utility, similar to the one we saw up there. But it's universal. It doesn't matter what mode it's in, so it's definitely going to be better than whatever card I was talking about earlier. Plus it gives +1 attack, so +1 attack is always nice. But the universal Bold 1 Tough 1 just makes it incredible to use with Metroplex. Plus it's a rare, which I think they knew they needed to make it a rare if Metroplex was going to be able to abuse it. So, of course, that's something interesting to look at. Next we have Supporting Fire, which is a blank pip card, so that's something to keep in mind. One of your characters gets +1 attack until the end of turn, and it can attack untapped characters this turn as though they were tapped. This card's awesome. I like this card. Like, even just getting +1 attack, who cares? Like, you're getting to attack whoever you want. It's awesome. However, Stealth and Brave do still come into effect with this card. I think that's Warpath. Is that Warpath on the card? If it's Warpath, that's pretty cool, actually. But being able to attack whoever you want is incredibly strong, and the blank pip definitely supports that. It's an uncommon though, so I don't know how much this card will be used, but I think it's incredibly strong. So hopefully we'll get to see a bunch of it before it I don't want to say disappears after a few sets, but I'm excited for it, and hopefully we get to see people play it. Next we have Temporal Quagmire, which those are words that you don't see that much. It is also a blank pip card, And it says when one of your characters defends as your secret action, of course I forgot to mention that, each player can't flip more than 2 battle cards during this battle. Basically, it's one turn W34, whatever the blaster is that stops you from. Oh lord, what is it? The. Man, what is it? I really can't remember. But basically, it prevents your opponent from being like, haha, bolt 4. No, you don't get your bolt 4. It's just 2. Just the 2. I don't care if you flip to white, just 2. So this card is really nice to play with stuff that has high defense, say like Demolisher, or even something with 3 defense like Optimus Battlefield Legend in his alt mode with 3 defense. Nice card. I like this card. It's good. Next we have Triangulator, which Illuminati confirmed. Am I right, lads? Am I right? Haha. But it's utility that says when you put this on a character, you may play another Triangulator, and 3 of them can fit in one slot, and it basically gives focus 1 for each one on. Plus, it's a green pip, so you can just pull them to your hand, similar to like extra padding and oh lord, what is it called? Attack drone. That's what it is. So basically, if you have a character with more than one weapon slot, just built in sort of like Spinister, you could have this. You could have 3 triangulators. You can have 3 extra paddings, 3 attack drones, and then a crude club that gives you plus 10 attack because you have 10 upgrades on your character. And that would just be absolutely insane should you be able to pull it off. If anyone pulls that off, please let me know. I really, really want to get to see that happen. And plus, you get focus 3, plus 3 attack, tough 3. You're getting plus 13, I guess, technically, because of the 3 from the attack round, so. Jeez. Plus whatever you flip? Oh my goodness. This is insane. I love this. Just what this implies is just incredible, and I love it. Next we have Tripwire, which says do 1 damage to an enemy, and if it has less than 5 stars... No, if it has less than 5 stars, you get to tap it. Airstrike Patrol, you best watch out, because I am coming for you, and you are going to die. Because you're losing attacks, you're taking damage, and my blue deck's coming to stomp all over you because Tripwire is a good card and I like it. Next we have Trithelium Shield, which I hope again I'm saying that right. It's a rare, similar to the Energon Mace that we saw before. It's a counter to Decepticon leaders, which, how many of them actually get played again? Not that many, that's the answer. But while the upgraded character is defending against Decepticon, plus 1 defense, so plus 2 isn't bad. It's really not that bad just defending against Decepticon for plus 2. Again, nice in the sideboard, but kind of stinky everywhere else. But while the upgraded character is defending against Decepticon leader, you get to reduce that leader's Pierce by 3. It's just so incredibly specific. Once again, it's just so specific that I just can't see it being used ever. I don't like it. I don't. Stop it. Stop making stinky cards, Watsy. Stop it. It's unique, I get it, but don't make stinky. Next we have Turn the Tide, which I think this card's interesting because you get to choose an equal number of Autobots and Decepticons, and for each of those Autobots you get to move 1 damage counter from it to one of the Decepticons that you haven't moved a counter in this way. So let's say if your team is 3 Autobots and your opponent is 3 Decepticons, you get to move 1 damage from each of your Autobots to each of your opponent's Decepticons. You don't get to like mix and match. It has to be to a separate one. So it's an interesting Autobot card for them to make. And that Bumblebee looks kind of goofy right there, but it's an interesting card, and I think it might see some play in Autobot Pierce deck. So next we have Versatility, which I believe this is the last card we're going to be looking at today. And what it does is you get to choose one of your characters, and when it attacks for the first time this turn, and you flip at least 1 battle icon, you repair 1 damage from it for each of the different colors among battle icons you flipped. Mind you, it is a blank pip, so that kind of sucks. It hurts itself, basically, for playing more than 1 in the deck. But being able to heal a whole bunch, plus any toolbox you have in play, potentially you're healing 5, 6 if you have a toolbox. It's really a nice card, and hopefully heal decks become a thing in the future. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we've looked at all of them, and my voice is dying. it's been an hour. I think we covered every single one in an hour, so that's pretty good. Hopefully some people watch it after the fact and get some useful tips out of it. I know I'm not an absolute pro at the game, but I just hopefully me thinking out loud helps someone with their deck building process. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your help, Cameron, with the look at the Nitro boosters. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I'll do more live streams in the future. Hopefully I'll get a better microphone because I know my headphones that I'm using right now are the greatest things in the world. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm excited for Wave 5 to come out and do some videos on that. But hopefully I'll find more time in the future to upload because I've just been so busy and tired and exhausted because of work. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I've said that 4 times now. And as always, have a phenomenal day. Peace.